For me, when I got out of the Navy, it's a shocker, right? Because every day in the military, you wake up and you know what your mission is. And every day you have a purpose. My name is DJ Zor. I live in Columbia Falls, Montana, and I am an operator at a power plant. I was in the Navy from 2004 to 2010, and my role was as a mechanic and an operator on a submarine. Kids that go in when they're 18 to 20 years old, and they get out when they're 22 to 26 years old. That's the window of adult experience that they have up until that point. And then you wake up one morning and there's no mission anymore, and your sense of purpose is just a big hole now. So for me, that was part of my struggle with getting out of the Navy.
My name is Trevor Hubbs. I run the Armed Forces Initiative for Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Backcountry Hunters and Anglers Armed Forces Initiative, or BHA AFI, is essentially the veteran and active duty military program for backcountry hunters and anglers. So if we look at backcountry hunters and anglers as this overarching conservation organization focused on public land access, focused on public wildlife access, public water access, the Armed Forces Initiative, or AFI, is simply directing that same message towards the military community, which is active duty, veterans, reservists, National Guardsmen, and Gold Star families. So the three things that the Armed Forces Initiative wants to get out of every event we do for every participant is, one, we want that immersive backcountry experience, right? The second thing that I want everybody to have is I want them to learn how to replicate these experiences. We don't do once-in-a-lifetime trips. We like to say we provide the tools for a lifetime of experiences. The third thing that I want everybody to get out of this is a new mission, and I want that mission to be conservation.
18 months after I got out, I had planned a trip to Alaska with my girlfriend at the time. She couldn't make it due to a work conflict, so I called a longtime family friend. I called Keith and I said, hey, plans change. Now it's just me solo, and I'm willing to, go a little bit further or camp a little bit more and have a more rugged experience. And he said, well, just change your flight, fly into Anchorage, and then book a flight from there to Nome, and we'll hop in some kayaks and we'll paddle across the Seward Peninsula together. So that's what I did, and it was the first time in my life that I'd been without boundaries, without fences, total freedom. So I think that whole trip changed my perspective, and that's when I decided I was going to just become active in conservation, that was going to be part of my mission going forward.
My name is Paul Kemper, and I am the marketing manager at American Prairie. American Prairie is a nonprofit conservation organization focused on restoring and rewilding the shortgrass prairie in Montana. Our goal is to connect 3.2 million acres of public and private land to support a complete and thriving prairie ecosystem. What's really cool is that DJ had actually asked me to join him on this hunt before I was ever an employee at American Prairie. So as someone who won't get the chance to hunt it, to be able to be there with one of my best friends and to experience it for all its glory was something I'll cherish forever. Rewilding is all about reconnecting and restoring natural habitats so that ecosystems can function in a more self-regulating and kind of autonomous way, where they just run on their own without external intervention. In the world today, there are 4 remaining intact grassland ecosystems, and one of those ecosystems is north central Montana. As the population continues to grow, as our world changes, we're seeing those ecosystems becoming more fragmented. The goal is to ensure that it is here forever, in perpetuity, for wildlife, for people, for everyone, so that everyone can experience, what we experienced over the last 3 days. And so you can walk into this landscape and see all these native grass species and plants that you might expect to see in the middle of the desert, like yucca or cactus. And then we were in silver buffalo berry down in the bottoms, and there were all kinds of different growth age classes of sagebrush and ponderosa pines, and it was really just remarkable to see all of the differences, the stages of that growth across that landscape, and then to see all the wildlife on there, the mule deer, the elk, the sharp-tails, the meadowlarks, the northern flicker, and in a place that is being rewilded, hunting is a part of that. Historically, ecologically, it's a key part of that functioning ecosystem. I think it's tough to love a place from a distance, and something like hunting allows people to intimately engage with a landscape and really develop a deep, deep love of that place.
There's a lot of reasons to hunt with traditional archery equipment. It forces you to have a more intimate experience and to be closer to nature in order to find success with that thing. For every successful opportunity you make with traditional archery equipment where you're inside of 30 yards, preferably, for me, I have to be inside of 30 yards, there's probably 20 opportunities to capitalize on with other equipment. It becomes more about hunting than it does just punching the tag.
There is an incredible benefit to society, to the United States of America, in engaging these servicemen and women in a public works concept like public land advocacy, like conservation, like public access, that everyone can benefit from, utilizing these core character traits that are so inherent within the military community. At the Armed Forces Initiative, we are always looking for different ways we can get our participants outdoors. We started with 200 participants in a couple of states, and we've grown dramatically. We're taking out 2,300 people a year all over the country. We do see a dramatically increased level of success, an increased level of mental health stability in teaching these immersive ways to join the natural cycle. Hunting, trapping, fishing, just completely involving yourself in the landscape you find yourself, in that wild place. That's where we find the most success for our participants.
Being able to hunt an unpressured landscape is the ideal experience, like no other elk hunting I've ever experienced. Quality over quantity. The fact that I got to come out here and do this and experience it is absolutely incredible. And I'm totally recharged, empty coolers and full heart.